For as long as we can remember, we've been told the same story about health. It's all about what you eat, right? We've all got the rules down. Pick the salad over the fries, grab the water instead of the soda, and we get so focused on the food itself. We make the shopping lists, we hunt for the perfect recipes, we count the calories. But what if I told you that's only half the story? And honestly, it might not even be the most important half. There's this quiet, amazing science that most of us are never taught, and it's all about how we eat. Today, we're going to dive deep into that science. We're going to see how just changing your approach to a meal can totally transform your digestion, your energy, your whole relationship with food. This isn't about some new restrictive diet, not at all. It's about a new kind of awareness. So let's get into it and see how everything can change, not by swapping what's on your plate, but by changing the state of your mind and body when you sit down to eat. I want you to think about something for a second. Does this sound familiar? You finally get a break in your day to eat. You sit down, but your phone is in your hand, you're scrolling, or maybe the TV is on, the news is blaring. You start eating, and then, in what feels like just a blink, you look down, and your plate is totally empty. The food's gone. But you don't feel good. You don't have that warm, satisfied feeling. Instead, you might feel kind of bloated or heavy. Or here's a weird one. Maybe you still feel hungry, like your body completely missed the fact that you just ate. It's such a common, frustrating feeling, isn't it? This huge gap between an empty plate and a body that actually feels nourished. Have you ever stopped to wonder why that happens? Why can a full meal leave you feeling so completely empty? Well, it's a big sign that something isn't right. And the problem usually isn't the food. It's the whole process. If that empty feeling sounds familiar, I really want you to hear this. You're definitely not alone. And even more important, this is not some kind of personal failure. You're not doing anything wrong because you lack willpower or something. Nope. This is a symptom of our crazy modern lives. We live in a world that just screams speed and distraction. We eat fast, wedged between meetings, while driving or staring at a screen that is just begging for our attention. Research now shows that the average mealtime has shrunk down to less than 10 minutes. Just think about that. 10 minutes. And in that short time, our mind is almost never actually on our food. It's on that email we have to answer. It's on a stressful news story. It's on our social media feed. Well, it turns out that this exact combination, speed plus distraction, creates a massive biological problem for us. Our bodies are like these ancient, finely tuned systems, and they just weren't designed for this pace. They're built for a slow, aware, mindful process. When we rush through a meal, we create this huge disconnect between what our mind is doing and what our body desperately needs to do to receive and actually use the food we're giving it. Let's actually give this a name, just so we can talk about it. Let's call it the empty plate problem. It's that strange, frustrating gap between eating a whole meal and actually feeling good about it, feeling nourished. It's the real reason you can eat a super healthy salad and still feel bloated and uncomfortable. It's why you can finish a big dinner and then find yourself wandering into the kitchen 10 minutes later looking for a snack. The science behind this is just fascinating, and it kicks in way before you even take your very first bite. You see, this is where most people get it wrong. We think digestion is something that happens down in our stomach, but that's a huge misconception. The real process, the one that decides if a meal is going to give you energy or cause you problems, it starts way earlier. It actually starts in your head. The control center for great digestion isn't your stomach, it's your brain. Okay, so on the screen, we have a kinda sciencey term, but don't worry, it's super simple. It's called the cephalic phase digestive response. Cephalic, that's pronounced cephalic, just means anything related to your head. So this is the head phase of digestion. It's your body's official warm-up for food. Think about it. When you see a delicious meal, when you smell that amazing aroma, or even when you just think about the food you're about to eat, your brain is supposed to send a wake-up call to your entire digestive system. It's like the manager of a restaurant calling down to the kitchen and saying, "Hey team, get ready, food's coming." And when that signal is sent, your mouth starts making saliva, which is packed with important enzymes. Your stomach starts producing acid, getting everything ready to break down food. It's the body's warm-up routine. But when you eat while you're distracted or rushed, you completely skip this phase. The food just shows up unannounced. The kitchen staff is on a break, they're not ready, and when food lands in an unprepared system, well, that's where all the trouble begins. So, the big question is, how do we actually get our bodies ready? How do we make sure that kitchen staff is prepped and ready to go? Well, it all comes down to understanding this one simple but incredibly profound truth about your body. Your body has two completely different operating modes when it comes to digestion. And here's the thing, they can't both be on at the same time. You can only be in one mode. And the mode you're in when you sit down to eat, well, that determines pretty much everything about how that food gets processed. Understanding these two modes is like discovering a hidden switch for your own health. So let's take a look at how this works. And as we go through it, maybe you can question yourself, which mode am I usually in when I eat? Your nervous system basically has two main settings. The first one is called the sympathetic state, but you probably know it as fight or flight. This is your body's stress response. Just imagine an ancient human spotting a lion. Instantly, the body gets ready to run or fight. Your heart pounds, your muscles get tight, and here's the crucial part. Your body pulls blood away from any function that's not essential for immediate survival. And in a crisis, guess what's considered non-essential? Digestion. So your digestive system literally gets turned off. The second state is the parasympathetic state, and its nickname is rest and digest. This is your relaxation response. It's when your body feels safe and calm. In this state, your heart rate slows down, your muscles relax, and blood flows freely back to your digestive organs. Your digestion is turned fully on. Now here is the absolute key to everything. Your body can't tell the difference between being chased by a lion and the stress you feel from answering work emails while you're trying to eat lunch. To your nervous system, all stress, big or small, flips you into fight or flight and turns your digestion completely off. And this brings us to one of the biggest aha moments in all of health and wellness. You could be eating the most perfect, organic, healthy meal you can imagine, but if your body is in that stressed out fight or flight state, it simply cannot use that good food properly. It's just not possible. That beautiful, healthy food can still cause bloating, gas, and major discomfort. Why? Because the entire system was offline when the food arrived. So the food just sits there in your gut, undigested. It starts to ferment, which produces gas, and that leads to that painful, awful bloating. So many of us think bloating is about what we ate. We blame the broccoli or the beans. But so often, it's about the state we were in when we ate them. This is something most people never find out. The state of your nervous system is literally the gatekeeper to good digestion. Okay, so now that we get just how important our nervous system state is, let's look at the second major piece of this puzzle. This one is all about time and communication. You see, there's a very specific biological reason why eating fast almost always leads to overeating and that awful, stuffed feeling you get later on. It all comes down to a critical communication delay, a time lag between your gut and your brain. Think of it this way. It's like the difference between sending a text message and sending a letter through the mail. Your gut communicates with your brain using a system that's more like snail mail. It's super reliable. It always gets there, but it is not instant. And not understanding this delay is why so many of us consistently eat way more than our bodies actually need. So here's what happens. When you start eating, your stomach begins to stretch, and your digestive system releases these special hormones into your blood. One of the most important ones is a hormone called leptin. You can just think of these hormones as little messengers. Their whole job is to take a trip from your gut all the way up to your brain. And the message they're carrying is super simple. It just says, hey, we've got enough fuel down here, you can stop eating now. This is your body's own natural off switch for hunger. It's how you know you're satisfied. But here is the catch, and it's a big one that most people don't know about. These little messengers, they don't travel at the speed of light. They have to make a journey through your bloodstream, and that journey, it takes time. This timeline on the screen shows the problem so clearly. At minute 0, you take your first bite. Now, we already know the average modern meal is over in about 8 minutes. But here's the mind-blowing part. That I'm full signal from those hormones, the message from leptin, it doesn't fully arrive and register in your brain for about 20 minutes. That 12-minute difference is what we can call the satiety gap. It is a dangerous window of time where you've already eaten enough food, but your brain has no idea yet. So what does your brain do? It keeps sending hunger signals, telling you to keep going. This is exactly where overeating comes from. It's not about a lack of discipline. It's a biological time lag. We have covered a lot of ground so far, but the most important part is coming right now. If you leave without hearing this, watching this was not worth it. Stay with me. What comes next can completely change the way you think about your health. So, what do we do? How do we slow everything down? How do we close that satiety gap and just give our brain a chance to get the message? Well, one of the simplest and most powerful tools you have is right in your own mouth. It's the simple act of chewing. Now, research points to a suggested range of about 20 to 30 chews for every bite of food. I know that probably sounds like a crazy amount, But it's designed to do one simple thing. It naturally and automatically forces you to slow down. It makes you be present with your food. And by simply slowing your pace, you give that 20-minute fullness signal the time it needs to arrive before you've already gone way past the point of being full. And this is also where we can bust that big myth for good. The myth is that digestion starts in the stomach. The reality, true digestion begins the second you start to chew. You see, chewing isn't just about mechanically grinding food into smaller bits. It's a critical chemical process. Your saliva is loaded with a powerful digestive enzyme called amylase. That's pronounced amylase. The specific job of amylase is to start breaking down carbohydrates. So we're talking about things like bread, pasta, rice, and potatoes, right there in your mouth. This is the very first step of digestion for all carbs. So when we just swallow our food practically whole after only a few chews, we're skipping this absolutely essential first step. We're just sending a big, unprepared lump of carbs down to our gut. And our gut isn't ready for that. It has to work so much harder. And that often leads to fermentation, gas, and that familiar bloating. So chewing your food isn't just about slowing down, it's about properly pre-digesting your food and making the whole job easier for the rest of your body. Okay, so we really get the why now, right? We know we're often eating in the wrong nervous system state, we're skipping that vital preparation phase, and we're eating way too fast for our own fullness signals to keep up. We've diagnosed the problem. Now, let's talk about the how. How do we actually fix this? The best news is that the solutions are incredibly simple. They don't cost a thing, and you can literally start with your very next meal. So here it is, a simple, practical toolkit to put all of this amazing science into action. I want to be clear, this is not another complicated diet plan. This is a set of skills, a new way of being with your food that works with your body's brilliant design, not against it. These 4 steps you see here are so simple, but they are game changers. Let's walk through them. Step 1, pause before you eat. Seriously, before you even pick up your fork, just stop. Close your eyes for a moment and take 2 or 3 really slow, deep breaths. Try breathing in through your nose for a count of 4, hold it for 4, and then breathe out slowly through your mouth for a count of 6. This tiny act of breathing is often enough to flip that biological switch, to shift you from that stressed fight or flight mode into the calm, rest, and digest mode. Step 2, no screens at the table. Your meal deserves to be its own event. Put your phone away, turn off the TV. When you just focus on eating, you automatically kickstart that cephalic phase. You see the colors of your food, you smell it, you're present. Step 3, put your fork down between bites. This is such a small physical habit, but it creates a huge mental shift. It builds in these little automatic pauses, giving you time to chew, to really taste your food, and to slow the whole engine down. And finally, step 4, chew thoroughly. Don't get obsessed with counting. Just aim to chew until your food feels like a liquid-like texture before you swallow. This makes sure you're doing both the mechanical and the chemical work right from the start. And you can support this new approach even more with a few extra habits and foods. First, if you can, eat at a real table, not at your desk or in your car. Your environment sends a powerful signal to your brain. A table says it's time to eat. A desk says it's time to work. Try to keep those signals separate. Now, when it comes to food, science suggests a few things can give you an extra boost. Fermented foods like plain yogurt, kefir, or sauerkraut are full of beneficial probiotics that help your gut microbiome thrive. Then there are bitter greens like arugula or radicchio. They have this special quality. Their bitter taste can actually stimulate your body's own production of digestive enzymes, helping you break down food more effectively. It's like an alarm clock for your digestion. And finally, simple things like a warm broth or a cup of ginger tea can be incredibly soothing for your digestive system, helping to calm things down and support healthy gut function. Now, I know what you might be thinking. This all sounds like a bunch of small, little details. A deep breath, an extra chew, putting your fork down. Can these tiny little things really make a big difference? It's easy to understand this in theory, but what does it actually look like in real life? It's one thing to hear the science, but it's something else entirely to see how it can change a real person's day-to-day life. So let's look at a real-world story to see the incredible, and I mean truly transformative, impact that these small shifts can have. So I want to introduce you to Maya. Her story is so common, and I bet many of you will see a little bit of yourself in her experience. Maya is 34 years old. She has a demanding job and spends most of her day at a desk, staring at a computer. For her, lunch was usually something healthy, like a salad or a sandwich, but she would eat it really fast, at her desk while still trying to answer emails. And almost every single day, she would struggle with painful, uncomfortable bloating right after her meal. Then, like clockwork, around 2 or 3 in the afternoon, bam, a massive energy crash would hit her. She felt totally exhausted, she couldn't focus, she was just completely drained. She was eating healthy food, but she felt absolutely terrible. She felt like her food just wasn't working for her at all. Then, Maya learned about the science that we've been talking about today, and she decided to try a little experiment. Now listen closely. She didn't go on a new diet, she didn't cut out carbs or fats or anything else. Instead, she made 3 incredibly simple changes that had nothing to do with her food. First, she stopped eating at her computer. She started taking her lunch to the break room, or if it was nice out, she'd go to a park bench. Second, before she took her very first bite, she would close her eyes and take 3 slow, deep breaths. And third, she just made a conscious effort to chew her food completely, to really taste it and break it down. Now, think about what's missing there. She didn't change what she was eating. Her lunch was often still the same salad or sandwich. The what didn't change one bit. The results were honestly shocking, and they started happening within the very first week. As you can see here, her daily, painful bloating went down a lot. It wasn't completely gone overnight, but it was no longer this constant, miserable battle. Her afternoon energy crashes became way less frequent, and when they did happen, they were much less severe. She had more stable, consistent energy all day long. And the most important part, the real magic of this whole story, is that she did all of this with 0 change to her actual diet. Just let that sink in for a moment. She didn't change what she ate, she changed how she ate. By changing her state and by changing her timing, she finally allowed her body to access all the good nutrition in the healthy food she was already eating. And this, right here, is the most empowering idea from everything we talked about. This is not about another list of bad foods to avoid or another restrictive diet that makes you miserable. It's about realizing that you have a biological switch inside of you, and you are in control of it. You're the pilot. By managing your environment, by using your breath, and by directing your attention, you are the one who decides if your body is in a state to be nourished or in a state of stress. This knowledge lets you stop fighting a battle with your body and instead start a partnership with it. You can give your body the exact conditions it needs to do its job perfectly. You get to work with your body's brilliant, ancient design, not against it. So maybe the next time you sit down for a meal, you can question yourself a little differently. Instead of only asking, "What's on my plate?" what if you also took a moment to ask, "What is my current state? Am I calm? Am I present? Am I truly ready to receive this nourishment?" Because what if the most powerful nutritional change you could ever make has nothing to do with calories or macros at all? What if the first and most important step to better health is simply bringing your full, undivided awareness to the simple act of eating? Your health is not a destination you arrive at one day. It is a direction you choose every single day. Small awareness, small choices, small habits. They quietly add up to something much bigger than you realize right now. Before you go, if this gave you even one useful thought about your health, share it with one person who needs to hear this right now. That one share can bring this awareness to someone silently struggling, and it helps Wellness Geeks reach more people who truly need this. Think of Wellness Geeks as a knowledgeable friend. Like this video, subscribe to Wellness Geeks, and tell us in the comments what health topic you want next. If this video brought real value to your health journey, support it with a super thanks. Every bit of support gives Wellness Geeks the strength to keep going. Thank you so much for watching and caring about your health.